too. So welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. 'Cause these are my people. And this is my land. This is my land. This is what we pray for. And this is God's plan. This is God's plan. If you ain't from here, then you won't understand. You won't understand. This is my country. This is who I am. This is who I am. So welcome to my house.
Hey everybody, Kevin Hoyt with the Grassroots Warrior Network. Once again, we got Marcus, the man with solution, and a pretty special friend, Mac. Pretty inspirational show coming for you. Marcus, how you doing? And let's introduce your friend.
As always, doing fine, doing good. And I was excited to bring Mac on. He's a new friend. We just met a little while ago, but we connected right away. And I had no idea that he had the issues in life that he's facing, but it came out in conversation. And I was like, holy crap, this is a great story and people need to hear it. Because a lot of people, it's easy for us to make excuses when we deal with hard things. And I get it, but then you got to kind of get a perspective. And so kind of like what Jeff Dinkins was going through and what he's doing now, Mac has his unique situation. And I think when people hear his story, and he's such a great guy with a good heart and a good mind, and he's a doer, I think they're gonna love him, and I think he's gonna inspire everybody, and they should watch it and then share it with other people that need a little inspiration.
Right. Inspiration is what we're talking about here. Handy capable is a great word. I've done a lot of handicap hunts, terminal hunts, those type things, and I've helped a lot of people. And one thing that I've learned, again, I'm in hunting blind. I get in hunting blind at daylight, and you sit there for 3 or 4 hours, just about the time you can't feel your ass anymore. Your back starts to hurt. And I go to turn and complain, and the kid sitting next to me is in a wheelchair. So I shut up. I don't say anything. I'm humbled, and I look. And all these kids that I've worked with, what's wrong with you? Can you tell us some of your medical ailments? And they go into a 10-minute rant, and then they end with, but man, am I blessed. And these kids they don't stay down. You can't stay all the things in life that are pressing them, and they're still doing, just like Mac. So the background, we're talking about guns here too. So Marcus is a gun expert. He's got some incredible products that'll make you a better shooter, make your guns better. So he starts a professional relationship with Mac, and you guys get into it for a long time. And again, it's a business deal. He'd never seen Mac. It's on the phone. And then somewhere along the line, Mac starts disclosing some of his medical things. So we're going to try to help Mac and talk about healing products. But let's get into Mac. Let's tell your story, Mac. So tell me some of your physical issues that you face as a regular person, everyday life.
So, I mean, just to start, former law enforcement of 2 years, and ended up having an off-duty accident in 2017 involving a gunshot story. So I am a incomplete quadriplegic from the C4, 5, and 6 region. Like I said, it is incomplete due to I still have use of my limbs and everything from shoulders down, unlike when I first got diagnosed with quadriplegia. It took about 18 months to regain the physical abilities that I have now. So just some of the things that I deal with on a regular basis, I started out in a power chair that I drove with my mouth using the sip and puff. I discharged out of rehab using a sip and puff and actually brought it home. Along that line, I just kept doing my PT at home because I didn't have a van or anything like that at the point that I got discharged home. So it was just making it make do and doing what you could to work towards goals. The biggest thing that I did daily after I got injured and discharged back home was I would try to do one thing new a day, whether that was just moving my hand to my mouth or eating ice cream, holding a utensil. Um, I would sit around, when I would go to bed, I would lay there and try to wiggle my toes or, you know, just kick my foot, anything. And one day, like I said, about 18 months in, I was sitting there and I had a leg spasm. And during that leg spasm, I was tipped back, giving myself a pressure release. And I had the leg spasm and it I was able to hold my leg up for just a very short period of time. I'm talking maybe 5 seconds.
Mhm.
But in that process, I learned that I could bounce my leg. And from there, I just started sitting around trying to bounce my leg as much as I could just to, hope to see that it would start firing in the muscle. Um, but right now, I have moved into a manual chair that I get around it. So no more power chair, which is a lot nicer with doing things around the house. You can get closer to things and just kind of open me up more with my businesses to be able to do more things around, the shop or training and anything like that. Um, I still deal with right-sided weakness, almost like stroke symptoms. Um, it has my hand, as you can see, is kind of seized closed just by muscle rigidity. I can physically manipulate my fingers, but still really tight, so I can't really grasp anything. Um, so I do it with one hand, and it doesn't do very good because it works at about maybe 60%. So I deal with right-sided weakness, some limitations in my left, obviously due to just muscle loss and um, function. After that, I was in the ICU for about 5.5 weeks right after my accident, and then I was in the Shepherd Center down in Atlanta for almost 2 months after. And like I said, I discharged out of there, not being able to move anything but my fingers on my left hand side and my head.
Wow. I want to, and again, the fact that, you never stopped your drive, the human, will to survive and keep going. I can't imagine anybody watching this. Imagine you're physically abled person. Next thing you know, you're a quadriplegic.
Absolutely.
What do you curl up in a fetal position and cry for the first 3 months? I imagine that's what I would do. I think. Was there
It's a
some?
lot to take in.
I can't even imagine. But let's get into from the beginning. So thank you for your service right off the bat. I back the blue. I believe in policing. I wouldn't defund the police. I'd give you more money because I believe in better equipment and training, right? So you're a police officer. You do this incredible career. You're a 28-year-old man, I guess in the prime of your life, right? And this was not an on-duty thing. This was actually a property dispute. And again, I usually, as a hunting advocate, there's so many hunting injuries are really, really rare. And I don't want to be a typical media and I don't highlight them. I don't talk about them. I don't do these things because I
Sure.
know the truth and I don't want to perpetuate it. This is an instance where I want to talk about this because it's very interesting how it happened. Um, I mean, I want to get into how, in fact, you were injured, if you don't mind. I mean, can you share that
Sure.
story with us? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had gotten off duty that morning early. I worked overnight in the city that I was in. We were a very low manpower department. At the time, it was just myself and the chief. So he would work daylights, I would work nights, and we would just trade off like that. And I had gotten off work that morning and did spend some family time that morning, and then went to do a trunk or treat because they wanted my canine there, and I was off, and they told me to be there. So I do that, and I
Canine officer, by the way. So people I think he locked up on us.
He had a less than 1 year old daughter, and she was at the she was she was set to turn 1 year old the next day. So we were doing party stuff. So we ended up going to town and enjoying a nice dinner and grabbed some stuff for the party and went back home. And on the way home, one of my friends had called and asked if we would be interested in coming to a bonfire and asked if we would stop and pick up the beer. So we did, and it was probably we went out to the bonfire and spent probably an hour, 2 hours, just hanging out, just um, enjoying friends. But then we were set to leave and go back home, and then he asked if I wanted to come to his house later that night after they got done. So I did. They picked me up later that night, and we picked up another friend of ours, which was actually the mayor of the city, um, and trucked it to his house. The plan was to grab some of his guns and go out and do some shooting. Not the safest at all, especially being under the influence. But you get complacent and don't think of things sometimes.
And at this
So
point, we're talking ethics, nothing illegal. You're just going to shoot guns. I believe in the Second Amendment.
yes,
Right.
we were on private property. We weren't going to be hurting anybody. But ethically, it was not the right decision. So we got there and got the guns together and loaded them in a side by side, and took our coolers and jumped in the side by side and went to the spot on the farm that we had been before. Um, we weren't in, we weren't under the influence the time before, but complacency get you killed. So on our way to where we were set to go, plans got changed and we decided to ride down a back road and go to another spot where people would go all the time. Ethically, shouldn't have been doing that either. So we stopped by another friend's house and spend probably 25 minutes and get back in the side by side and keep on trucking down the road. And we stopped by another person's house, and while we're there, the guy that actually shot me drove by. At that point, I don't remember, there was a confrontation between the people I was with and him, and I wasn't aware of what was happening. I didn't know the guy, didn't even register that it was a confrontation. And at some point through there, as he sped off away from us, there was a beer bottle thrown at the back of his truck. I didn't see that happen. That's just in the report. So we went and finished our things. And when we got to shoot, one of our guns, the gun we had, jammed up and it was getting dark. So we really couldn't perform the clearing of it where we were at. So we just loaded up, put the guns back in the case, and started back towards the residence we started at. On our way back, it was decided between the guys I was with that they were going to stop by the individual's house that they got into it with. And so we pull in his driveway. I vaguely remember a couple people, somebody saying that it wasn't a good idea. And I vaguely remember saying that we shouldn't be here. Especially, the way we were, and it was dark, like just in that part of the county that we were in, it just wasn't the place to be at that time. So as we pull up in his driveway in the side by side, we turn around and start to head back down the driveway. And we actually had one of the guy's stepsons with us. He was 10 years old. He was kind of sitting on my lap and the other guy that was in the back of the side-by-side's lap. And so on our way down the driveway, the boy says, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. And he had come out on the porch with an AR-15. And as we were on the way down the driveway, he just started letting rounds fly. Myself, probably I should have done a few things differently instead of assessing the threat like I was trained and trying to figure out the best route to take action. But the only thing that I can figure, because nobody has said and nobody knows, is when I turned to look out the back of the side-by-side, is when I got shot the first time and right behind the ear. And then as I slumped over on top of the 10-year-old, I took a round in the left rib cage and some shrapnel from a round that hit the actual side-by-side. Altogether, he shot, I believe, 8 rounds, and I caught 3 of them. So, but in the end, I'm lucky that it played out the way that it did, because if I wouldn't have slumped over the kid, he would have gotten shot with the one that I took in the rib cage, no doubt.
Another guy, the other gentleman on the side-by-side, I guess his foot was sticking out. Is that how he got shot too?
Yeah, so he was kind of makeshifting it on a seat, sitting on the armrest of the side of the side-by-side, and he had his foot hanging out, and he ended up catching a round in the foot. But that was all anybody got injured.
Well, and one of the weird things in this too, because I can see both sides of it. This gentleman was not charged, right?
No, so initially he was, and he did spend a few days in jail. And when it came down to the jury's decision in the county we were in, it's kind of a good old boy system anymore. And they decided that he was protecting his property and that he had a right to protect his property if he felt threatened. And he proclaimed that he had his 10-year-old grandson in the house with him as well, and didn't know the intent of what was going to happen. So, and that was his reasoning for doing what he did. It also didn't help that the guys that I were with, his dad was a county commissioner in that county and a bail bondsman as well. So he knew the legal system, and the guys I was with got charged, but they didn't get anything but misdemeanors. So, and like you said in the beginning, it was all over a property dispute that had been happening for several months prior, and just not a publicly known thing. And if I would have known anything like that, I definitely wouldn't have been there.
Well, and likewise, I can, it's funny because I thought about this since we talked on the phone, right? And like I agree with like both sides. I agree he had the right to defend himself and his property, but I think it was a mistake to just start shooting, especially if you guys were already retreating. If you're on the way off the property, I would have let you leave the property. I would have fired into the dirt if I was scared. I would have shot into the air. I would have let you know I ain't playing ball. I wouldn't have shot at you, especially if there was an 8-year-old kid. So I can kind of see both sides. I mean, it's a mess. The whole
There's a
thing
big
is a
difference
mess.
if he was returning fire, but he wasn't. He initiated the shooting, and that's you get all these gun cases now that are going on and all these legal matters. People do have the right to defend themselves and their property, but something like this, you're exactly right.
I know, but you
Shot
gotta.
into the dirt, and that's it. Just shoot a couple rounds and let it get out, and they would have gone.
Well, this is one of the things, again, I backed blue. I said that a whole bunch of times, but if you watch my podcast, a lot of people wouldn't know that because I
Sure.
call out a lot of police officers, a lot of bad cops, corrupt cops that went down through. And one of the problems, I don't think you're a corrupt cop, Mac. I think you're a good guy and you just got caught up in a situation. But the idea that, you and the mayor and the commissioner and the zoning guy are, basically on a power kick, it kind of sounds like a little, and you guys are the good old boys club and you guys had the authority and you messed with the wrong redneck as the other. And I'm just trying to be brutally honest, right?
We did.
You
It
did.
was,
And it's a mess. You guys fucked up. He fucked up. Everybody
oh,
fucked up.
absolutely.
Now we got a good cop that's a paraplegic, and this guy has to live with it too. I'm sure he doesn't feel good about the situation now.
You're
After the
saying
fact.
Mac was just kind of along for the ride. He was there. He wasn't. Yeah, he had really kind of nothing to do with other than
Right.
maybe better judgment when he goes, we can't do this. But
Well, that
bad
most of
things
the
happen to good people. But
yeah.
I think the thing here, and you
Thank you,
can't turn
God.
back the clock. But Mac has, instead of folding and giving up, and I'd like to hear, Mac, what you have to say, like how you handle this mentally initially and all the way through now. How you decide to, make good things happen with your life when you could
I
have
bet
just cashed in.
God's involved. I bet you.
I bet, I
That's
bet so
about the
too.
only explanation. Um, but when you're in the police academy or any type of law enforcement or military standpoint, the big thing is finish the fight. Whether that's after you get shot, end up in a car wreck, something, if you're dealing with anything, and the biggest thing that they stress is finish the fight. Um, and sometimes that's hard to do, depending on the situation. But I took it and used it in my new life standpoint as, you know, I can't change what happened, but I can write a new book as to how to handle it and how to overcome it and still do things that I enjoyed. I was a canine handler my entire time. I got a brand new canine right out of the academy, basically 6 months in, and that's kind of unheard of in most departments. But where we were so small, um, I just got the opportunity sooner. So that was a lot of time and dedication, and it was something that I always wanted to do. So I took extra pride in that. And after my accident and after, months of rehab and everything, I finally got to my plateau of being able to, I had restrictions, but there was still things that I could do with what I had. My mind wasn't broken, so I can, teach people how to do things. I can teach. So, that led me to in 2020, I started a canine training business, training law enforcement, search and rescue, and civilian canines. Um, and at that point, I was still in a power chair. I was still using the sip and puff a little. I had everything still hooked up in my chair, but I was, driving my chair with my left hand and beating around people's yards and just out in the woods and taking my chair anywhere it would go just so I could be out and be around canines. And up until last summer, I trained civilian and law enforcement canines um, full time in a commercial setting. Built my business from the ground up. Um, and I just ran with it because it was fun. It got me out, it got me active, it made me use my mind and took my mind off of the bad places. Um, so it the mental aspect is the biggest aspect. If you can if you can tell yourself that you can do it and try to do it and you do it, take it and run with it.
Wow. I can't get people to write a letter, Mac.
I
That's
believe
what I'm
it.
saying. This is this perspective that you've got. And when we were talking, prior to the podcast here, the blessing, this is Mac's words, like this allowed me to experience this other part of life. And it
Absolutely.
didn't keep you down. That's mind blowing for people. Again, you were pushed there. I can't even conceive that. I can't imagine because I'm healthy and I'm still got all my stuff. I don't know what I would do. That's where I said at the beginning, curl up in a fetal position for the first month, cry. I don't know. Accept
It
it. Like,
was
how do you fucking
so
unreal?
the 5.5 weeks I was in ICU was I don't remember much of it. I remember very bits and pieces between pain medication. When it would wear off, I could remember bits and pieces of people talking and stuff like that. But I don't remember that, I don't remember, them telling everybody that I was paralyzed, and I don't remember anything.
That's God
So
too, I think, and your body, per your brain, actually blocking it out and protecting you from that traumatic
absolutely.
experience. But even this, the canine stuff, you didn't quit, you're still going all that, not enough. Now you're going to be a gunsmith? Like what? How?
Yeah, hopefully we'll put it that way. Uh,
Well, and
I'm
you're
only I'm only 16 weeks in here, guys.
still in training.
Still in training. Now, difficulty wise, gunsmithing is probably the most difficult thing that I've tinkered with so far. Um, just the physical aspect of it, a
Right.
lot of small parts and pieces to a gun. So I, we start in one section and I will tinker with that long past that section, just trying new things, trying new models of guns, trying different actions, taking them apart. I spend a lot of time on YouTube and looking up schematics and how they come apart before I ever start. And, if I get to a tricky spot, I'll ask for help, but only after I've tried it and probably break something before that. Um, I I just ordered some replacement uh, bolt springs or recoil springs for a Marlin 22 because when I was putting the bolt head back in, I bent the spring and broke it in half.
Yeah.
So I ordered a couple more and I tried it again, broke one of the new ones. So I asked for help because I only had one good one left.
Gotcha. Well, and you're asking the right people. Again, some of the connections, Marcus being one of them. Anybody,
Absolutely.
we've talked about, I got it right here. We've talked about this before. Modern Spartan Systems. It's an all natural, safe for the pets and the kids and the planet. It's a lubricant, a green lubricant that reduces friction by 90%. That's an incredible statement. It actually makes you a better shooter. Tested, made me a better shooter, right? And it makes your gun, makes the metal in your gun harder. So it's
That's
more
just
heat.
Marcus. That's just
heat.
Marcus playing with your head.
Well, that's funny. And I want to hang on to your seats, everybody. We're going for a screen share because I want to show you this pop up for you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So this is, again, Mac's YouTube channel, B Squared Gunsmith Smithing. I hope you guys go give him some love, right? And you can
Give
see a
me
few videos up here. We'll probably have another
subscribe.
one.
Subscribe for free. Leave me a comment. Get in touch with me. Whatever you
Right.
want to do.
That's pretty good. And you've got a couple other, I know Facebook, and we're going to talk about, setting up contact information because you're not
Yeah.
there yet, but we're going to help you. And we're going to put all that in the video description and you guys can get a hold and hopefully follow Mac through this journey. What an incredible thing. So Marcus, let's hear your perspective. This guy calls you up. He's interested. He's asking the right questions. How long did you know Mac before you knew
So
Mac?
when Matt contacted me, he told me he was a Sonoran Desert Institute guy, and we've been working with SDI. They're the biggest gunsmithing school in the world, and they train a lot of guys, a lot of military guys, law enforcement, just people that love guns that want to get into gunsmithing personally or as a profession. And anyhow, they get everyone that goes through that program for the last, I don't know, 5 years or whatever, they each get a bottle of accuracy oil and carbon destroyer. So the accuracy oil is the lube, the accuracy or the carbon destroyer is a cleaner. Those are the two main products. And I know when guys come out of there, they call me up and they go, "Oh, we want to work with the products. We love them." And I know they only know a fraction of what the chemistry actually does. So we have our conversation and I explain stuff to them and they get to know it and then they go like, now, wow, now we're really interested in even more. So that's what happened with Mac. We started talking and then asked him about, him, his story, his business. And that's when then all this came out and like, holy crap, you're doing something that, I mean, it's like, to me, it's amazing that you can do it, but he's doing it. And he's going to go through the classes and he's going to become a certified gunsmith. And actually, you know what? The power of his mind is going to make him a better gunsmith. It's going to be longer to physically do stuff, but we already know because he's a focused guy that he's going to do great work. So like, that's how we got started. And that's why all the people, like you say, Kevin, people that watch this and people that watch everything else in the news and the media, they like, it burns them up, but they don't do nothing. So
Right.
people need to wake up and stop being, making excuses because everybody's got busy lives, blah, blah, blah. But you got to do something. So I would say use Mac when you start thinking a little bit, poor me is too much energy, too much time. You can do whatever God puts in front of you. And Mac is a perfect example. You should think of him every time you're starting to get a little lazy or complacent. So that's why I wanted to bring him on the show. And I think the world of what he's doing.
Well, me too.
Appreciate
But don't be afraid to try, is especially now in these historic, unprecedented times. You're at bat, swing. At least swing the bat, man. At least give us a try. And I know I've failed a whole bunch of times in my life. Like all through my life, I fail. I bounce back and I overcome, and we end up with a solution by failing. You were still learning, right? Like
it.
they figured out 2,000 ways how not to make a light bulb before they made a light bulb. So
Absolutely.
it's a trial and error. And the fact that you're not just trying, Mac, you're doing it. That's so impressive to me too. And I hope people, again, it's funny, like the political oppression and everything that's going on today, the economy or the war or the whatever, people, they come and bitch at me. I'm just a deer hunter, man. You guys got to fully take it to somebody. And the thing is, why are you just complaining? Get involved, file a lawsuit, run for
Yeah.
office, right?
Yeah.
Write a letter, call. Like these are pretty simple things.
Take your whining energy and apply it into something good. Hey, Mac, I wanted to ask you, what is your support network like, and where does God come into play for you personally in all this?
So obviously, I'm a big believer in God. I probably don't practice the way that I should, but I do believe that there is one and that he does amazing things. I can contribute a lot of kudos to him on the things that I've overcame.
You're allowed to say Jesus. It's okay. We love him.
Absolutely. But my support system's small. I I've learned over the years that not everybody's out for you. It's a dog eat dog world out there. And there's more people that will undermine you and stab you in the back than there's not. But my friend group is small, my family group is small. And my mom is one of my biggest support systems. She does, she helps me in the mornings and in the evenings, in and out of bed, dress, doing the tasks that I can't do, she does. And she's the biggest one. But I do have a small circle of friends that I know that I can count on when I need it. We may not talk every day, but we are in contact at least a couple times a week, and they will drop whatever they're doing and come help me out. I haven't, throughout the last almost 7 years, I've met a lot of great people throughout the disability world, and honestly, hearing those guys talk is a huge inspiration because they're out here doing things that are my interests as well. And you get a sense of a different aspect from them on how to do some things that make it easier that they've experienced that I have not. they're big advocates in hunting and shooting, and working with kids and disabled hunters. Um, that's the other podcast that I've been on. It is, I'll send you the link to it too. But those guys, they've been doing it longer than I, but because they're older, their injury were, 30 years ago, and they've experienced things that I couldn't think of yet. So I bounce a lot of things off those guys. And
I know,
just
and
talking to somebody in the same situation is an inspiration because they've already done what I'm trying to do.
yeah. Well, and you're not alone. We've talked again off air a little bit, like Buckmasters, White-tailed American Deer Foundation. They have the Rolling Wheeling Sportsman, right? There's a group called the Southern Sportsman Foundation that I've worked with in Arkansas. We just talked about that hunt actually. I took a
Right.
paraplegic kid hunting, blind kids, terminal MS, multiple, spina bifida, like I said, crazy stuff. But one of the things, the Southern Sportsman Foundation is so impressive because it's for all you hunters out there, it's 11,000 gated acres of beautiful, best whitetail habitat you can ever imagine. It's one of the best hunting leases I've ever seen in my life, and it's exclusive. It's a little club. But what they do is 2 weeks a year, they open it up a week for kids and a week for adults, and they bring on handy capable people and they let them do some crazy inspiring things. But it's not just the club. The club, the regular guys that hunt this land, they turn into the guides. And by the way, if you've never taken a handicapped person hunting, it's about 1,000 times more of a challenge and about 1,000 times more of a reward. A wheelchair doesn't fit in a regular shooting house. You have to build special shooting houses. There's a whole bunch involved with this stuff and a bunch of great people. So the guides, again, the hunters turn into the guides. The local restaurant owner serves up breakfast and lunch. The local motel owner ends up, providing lodging. So they take, I don't know, when I do, I'm involved with the youth hunt down there, or I was. I don't know, 15 or 20 kids, but that's about 300 people, moms and dads and vans and all the people that come and all the people that are, this is a giant, massive thing. And the entire town takes advantage. So now when the hunt goes down, this is very important because I saw the other side of it. All the dads and the guides take the kids and we go out into the woods and we spend all day hunting. I never thought about the moms. All the moms are left at, we got the dancing Gaga girls, another local group. Everybody's involved, like you said, but all these moms, they get to find out that they're not alone. To be a special needs parent taking care of a kid, you feel very alone. You've got a very small group too. And now we've got, 20 or 30 of them all together and they're sharing tips and they're talking. And I can tell you, all those moms are still friends. After we go hunting for a couple days, those connections grow and bond. And again, that's that community involvement and the inspiration involved. This is another story.
So
Marcus,
maybe we gotta get Mac involved with them. I definitely want to introduce Mac to Micah, Camp Patriot, because he does work with law
officers.
enforcement guys. I think this is a perfect fit. And it's about building community. And Mac, you said you just had a few close friends. That's okay. Jesus had his inner circle, right? We all have our close friends, and some people it's more, some people it's less. But when you go through these kind of things with people, your bonds get really tight. And thank God for your mom. Good prayers
Absolutely.
out to your mom. That's what moms do.
It is.
That's what they do. And what a wonderful lady. What a testament to her character and her heart.
Well, and
Absolutely.
another thing that I wanted to say as far as my experience, and I've been blessed with world travel, and it doesn't matter who your God is, your lover, your language, your religion. Most people, in my experience, are really good people. Most of us just want to be left alone. We're peaceful. We want to better ourselves, protect our families, take care of these other things. As a law enforcement officer, before all this happens, and because in the way this happened, you get to see the best and the worst of people. You've seen it, right? And again, you've built up a few trust issues, and you're not alone. All of us. And I've always said I've chosen to be gullible. We
Sure.
get to be gullible or cynical. That's your two choices. And usually as we get older and bit in the ass more, we become pretty cynical, right? I choose gullible. I give people the benefit of the doubt. And again, I want to believe that most of us are good-hearted. So I do think everything's for a reason too. And
Absolutely.
you connected
Agree
with
with that.
me and with Marcus, and people say I'm selling this stuff too much. I'm pushing it. I'm not selling anything, but we've got some incredible health products that seem to be having incredible results. It worked for me, worked for all my friends, and we're going to get you involved with that too. We talked a
I'm
little bit
excited.
about the Wave
Yeah.
Watch, frequency healing, and we're going to have you look into that, wavewatch.com, for anybody's that interested. Um, we have a giveaway going, but I don't have any to give away right now. You're on the list, I think, is what's going to happen, Mac.
All
For
right.
people who are interested, again, it's a $600 product, so it's not cheap, but the results and what are you spending now on healthcare and is it working? It's worth every penny, in my opinion. And if
Sure.
you use Kevin 100, you save $100 off your purchase. So 600 turns into 500. It's the best I can do right now for everybody any day, right? The other one, which we're going to get into the mail for you, is the X39 LifeWave patches. These are stem cell technology. There's actually nothing in it. It's a patch. In fact, I can show you guys. No, I can't. Oh yeah, I can. I was gonna say I grabbed an empty package. It's just a patch, right? So again, you peel off the
It
sticker
looks
and
like a sticker.
it's like a sticker. And again, I actually have three. So I got one here. It's called the Y Age. I've got an X39 on the back of my neck, and I've got an X49 2 inches below my belly button on the grid lines of Kevin, the ley lines of Kevin, right? So again, what this is it's activated by the light and your body's heat. There's nothing in the patch. It actually activates your own stem cells. So my experience with this, again, I had a dislocated shoulder and it caused a lot of pain. Wave Watch was awesome. Helped my pain and everything else. My shoulder kept popping back out. So after a while, I couldn't sleep. It got really, really bad where I was out and I tried these and there, again, a friend sent me some, just like I'm sending you some, and I was in pain. So I said, I'm going to try these things. I put them on. Miracle moment. I was like, holy crap. The next day, and still today, my shoulder feels great. I can move it or I couldn't before. I don't know
That's great.
how it healed, sucked it back in the ligament. I don't know. I don't even know how it works, but it worked.
That's
Since
awesome.
then, well, that was about, I'm going to say 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, 3 months, I think, is when I started. And I want to be honest when I report stuff. I put these on every day. I don't notice much. I had my miracle moment. Since then, I really haven't noticed anything other than sometimes I get a red line, like when you unstick this, you can see where it's been stuck on there for a while or dirt will collect. And I didn't notice anything. But then I think about, like, I've had arthritis in my feet. So it's a chronic pain all the time. It's like a white noise. You got used to it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's gone. I don't have
Really?
that anymore. That's like, again, it's been my whole life. I can't tell you if it was the 39 patches or the Wave Watch because I'm using them both at the same time
Something,
now.
something,
Something's
Kevin.
happening. Yeah.
Something,
So
Absolutely.
Kevin. And so,
We're
yeah,
good.
I think Matt, because right, extremes, right? The shoulder's an extreme, so it's a bigger
Yeah.
swing. And so, from bad to good. So that was pretty cool and more obvious. This is gonna be really interesting for Mac to give it a try, see if it does anything.
Right.
And I want to offer something else out too. Kevin, that I work with a lot of very smart people and some unique technologies. And I think there's some things that might be hopeful for Mac and other people, because I do think the med bed technologies are coming out. We have friends that are directly involved with that, and they keep saying, is they're not here yet, but the world hasn't flipped. So there's hopeful for that because that could regenerate nerves and
Mhm.
all the other things that need to have happen on Mac's body and other people's bodies. And I think that there is also some other technologies that even another friend of mine, Jake, has conceptually developed that may help people to function better too. So there are always things coming out, and that's why you don't never give up hope. Something might happen and break at any time, and it could affect everybody in a real positive way. So just another reason, trust God and be hopeful and you know, bad experience, but you're making the most of it. And good things are going to come to those who wait, and it's an active waiting. So that's what Mac is doing. And again, that's what I really respect and love about him.
Well, and don't give up. Mac never gave up. A lot of people would have gave up in your situation, Mac.
There's,
So,
and honestly, there's a lot of people that have.
Yeah.
so what would you say to them?
The same thing I'm saying to you guys. And you go back through the story each time and, you know, show where you've came from to what you're doing now and just try to spark a little bit of that into people that you talk to. I went back to the Shepherd Center about a year after I got discharged for a 6-week program to further my rehab. And I met a ton of great people down there that had been newly injured. Um, I met a North Carolina state trooper while I was there, and he was in a motorcycle accident at work. He was a motor cop, and just being able we became pretty close friends out of that. Just being able to sit down and, for him to see where I came from to what I'm doing, he dealt with, a lot more than I did and didn't get as much back as what some people do. So to be able to give him a little bit of inspiration that it is possible to continue to live a certain way outside of your injury is what I try to do, is just enlighten that there is a way to make things happen. It may not be a quick way and it may not work the first time or the first 700 times, but there's a way to do it as long as you keep your mind to it and push for it.
Hey, Mac, you said, when I just kind of thought about this, you experienced a metaphor on a small level that is actually a metaphor for a big level of what's happening to you. You said you had a spasm in your leg and you learned that if you bounced your leg, which is causing momentum, that you can get your leg to respond.
Yeah.
And that worked. You've done this whole thing with your whole life. You're bouncing to see where you can go and using that momentum to move forward.
I've never thought of it that way, but that's exactly right. Um, it's like I said in the beginning, it was a very enlightening experience and humble experience because you live a certain way one day and you wake up the next day and that's all gone. Law enforcement was a big part of my life. The fire department was a big part of my life. I started doing fire and EMS directly out of high school and started my law enforcement career at the mere age of 19. So I couldn't even buy my own pistol ammo at the time. So that's all I knew,
Even in West Virginia,
even in West Virginia.
I think you can buy them when you're 10.
I'm not saying I didn't find any in the ditches, but we made it work. But law enforcement and first responder was all I knew. So that being taken away was a huge chunk of life that I'd put a lot of time and effort into, and waking up with it all gone leaves a big hole. So I've been, canines were a way for me to get back to some of that normal life for me because that's what I did before, just in a different aspect. This time I'm training people and working with the dogs, learning how to do training tasks that I could do out of a chair and out of a power chair. It was much harder, just because you can't reach the floor, you can't reach puppies, you can't set up a drill one way. You just piece it together as you go pretty much and learn what works for you. And
I'm going to call that Mac ingenuity.
I love it.
I
Well, I was
like
gonna say
that. I might copyright that.
Uncle Ted, the
It's all
dude.
yours.
That's what I was gonna say. Uncle Ted, right? The Nuge, Ted Nugent, told me he liked my Tednacity. I like your Tednacity too, man. Like you don't give up. You're just non-stoppable. That is inspirational for,
Giving
the
giving up.
challenges that you face are incredible, Mac, and you just constantly overcome and keep going. That is inspiration at the definition, I think.
What's it, Mac, what are some of your other bigger goals and things that you're thinking about in addition to the gunsmithing? You know, what kind of other plans and hopes you have?
So I have a second business already, and it's another part of that law enforcement world, getting back to um, something that feels normal. I started a PI business, private investigation business, about almost 2 years ago. I haven't really done a lot with it just because I've had a lot of other things on my plate with kind of stepping away from my canine business due to some issues with my county administration and them approving my training facility at my house, which would make it easier for me. They pretty much just denied it and moved on. So that changed a lot of my plans.
Maybe we should have some people call in and talk with them. Like have
Political
some common sense and a
bureaucracy.
heart.
That's what I said, political bureaucracy. Hey, thanks for your help. Appreciate you,
Yeah,
Matt.
maybe we need to find the decision makers and kind of convince them that they should do the right thing. Get a smart guy here that's capable, make it work for him, right?
What town is this in West Virginia?
This is Lewisburg, West Virginia.
There you go, people. Give them some love. Like I said, be
Great.
nice about it. You get better
Greatest,
with
greatest
sugar.
small town 2017.
Really? Would you win an award or something?
No,
You don't know.
the city did. I don't know. I
Yeah.
Yeah, they put it online and a bunch of people voted for it, I guess.
Well, that's pretty good. Good for you guys.
I try to stay out of the city limits, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've created enough turmoil that they hate to see me coming.
They
You're a rabble
hate to see
rouser.
Kevin coming too. You guys
they-
can relate to each other, can't you?
They run from me. I can relate on a whole bunch of different levels. The doer part is what I really, really like, Mac. I mean, you're so impressive. Your story's incredible. But then
Maybe we recruit Mac to do some research, in the right areas for us,
PI, we
Our
could use a
guy.
PI. We're all become great PIs nowadays, haven't we? Because you
Yeah.
got to look. I hope people don't believe me. I mean, this Wave Watch, these patches are unbelievable. But go look. Like I'm a
Right.
deer hunter from Vermont. Why would anybody believe me? Right? This modern Spartan system, you can go look at the test. You can see what the military thinks. Chain belt fed machine guns and the heat test and the accuracy from top military snipers. Brad Starr,
You can just
Charlie Milton.
ask Mac right there. He can tell you that's why he
There's
called
bunch of
me.
gunsmiths, right? You can go
That's
again.
exactly why I called Marcus.
Yeah.
This stuff works.
It does. It
It
not
works.
just works, it works better than anything I've ever seen, and it's green. Most of the other stuff we got is a bunch of crap. It's
Hey,
toxic.
just so
It's no
people know,
good.
you don't drink it because it's green. Don't drink it.
Right.
It's not that safe. Water, you don't drink too
Right.
much water, you'll die. But
Well,
you're right. It's relatively green, safe products to work with.
Mark,
Safer than anything else.
Marcus has to say that, by the way, because I used to say, Mac, that they're like it's non-toxic. You could physically drink it, and you could. And I bet if you did, you'd get the true definition of lubricant.
Yeah, or a genetic mutation. We're not sure.
But it's non-toxic. It's good for the planet. Don't drink it, people. Don't eat Tide Pods. I don't know what the I don't know what's going on.
Don't sniff air duster. Let's go down the list.
I know there's some common sense factor gene that's been, I don't know, bred out of us, or I don't know what is going on with the world lately.
Well, the good thing about all this, literally all the products and things that you endorse are stuff that and test.
Right.
Mac is, we're dealing with truth. Like we're dealing with reality. No one's trying to pull anything over or get over on anybody.
No.
This isn't about making money. This is, business happens as it happens, but we're about making good things happen for this country and this world. There's a lot of good things, and it takes people like you and like Mac to do their part. And that's what's really cool.
Well, and as we face a insurmountable, the task at hand, guys, like it's David and Goliath, the beast, and these things don't do anything because of that bureaucracy and the politics and these guys are just, it's a frequency tool and it's a bunch of stickers you can stick on your body. We can't tell you anything, right? But I can tell you what it did for me. And
Sure.
Mac, I can't tell you this is going to help you, either one of these things.
I
The
can't
Wave
wait to try.
Watch, what's nice about the Wave Watch is it's got emotions in it. So
Mhm.
separation anxiety, depression, again, it's got pain buttons and all that stuff too. But I think the emotional, the PTSD, the trauma, and everything that comes with your situation, I'm
Sure.
hoping that maybe where the watch can help you. And then these are stem cells. That's where we start. I think there's something there and they're helping. I can't tell you they're going to work, but man, I hope they do. And then what we do is we report this. I got some in the mail, and again, I can't buy you a full life commitment of these, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But I'm going to give you a couple weeks. And then in a
Yeah.
couple weeks, we'll have Mac back on and we'll say, hey, what happened? And that's as easy as it
Absolutely.
gets. And you tell us good, bad, or ugly. I'm still waiting for the bad though. Everybody else I've given them to is like, man, this stuff is incredible. So
I'm
again,
excited to try it for sure.
yeah.
That's one of those trying new things that if you try it and it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if you try it and it works, build
Well,
on
and have
Woo-hoo.
you have you ever failed at anything, Mac, in your life?
it.
Marcus,
Absolutely.
have you ever failed?
Never, no, never,
No,
never anything.
well, that's what I said.
If you
Don't
ask anybody else, they might tell you something different that knows me.
it's like my ex-wife always thought she was right? Just ask her. She thought she was wrong once, but she was mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
I'm
we all make
joking.
mistakes. Well, this is the trial and error portion of life and actually the adventure, the fun part
It
of it.
is. It is. Yeah,
We're
I want to
trying.
touch on something that you mentioned earlier. Taking a disabled person hunting is 1,000 times harder than um, taking a regular, just going out hunting yourself. I
Thousand.
have one of the action track chairs. So it's bigger than your normal wheelchair. It's got the gun rack on it, everything. And I have a picture I'm gonna send you. That way you can use it. But I went down last year after Christmas to Collins Low Country Hunt Club down in Earhart, North or South Carolina,
Mhm.
and um, did some hog hunting and some deer hunting. And you know, your typical ground blind is big enough for two people to sit inside of, but the way I have to, the way you put one of those in is you pull up and put the ground blind over top of you, and nobody else is getting in it. It's tight, and I'm in the process of working on some uh, ground blinds for my hunting property back here, and that fit the track chair, and that I can just go out and go hunting instead of worrying about all my gear and stuff in the makeshift building that I'm using now that I can't get my track chair into. So it limits the amount of hunting that I can do in the certain places, but as long as I don't do frigid cold or
You can do it.
extremely hot. So um, as
If you
long as
could,
it's decent weather, I can get out and do it. But if not, then I'm stuck in a one position and one ground blind all day. So
we can talk with some manufacturers that may want to make something like
We
that.
do.
That has
Well,
multi-purpose,
people
you
don't
know?
realize like that Arkansas hunt I was talking about. What happens is when you get the chair into these special blinds, we're facing this way. And the buck comes out over here. It's like you don't just turn like I would have. You can't turn the chair. You can't turn the deer has to kind of walk in front of you. So there's
sure.
a whole nother aspect of frustration and stuff that comes
Yeah.
with this. It's really,
I
really
missed I missed several opportunities on hogs down there just because they came in at a weird angle and you can't once you're in there you're not turning it.
right.
So there's a lot of missed opportunities hunting out of a ground blind from a chair. Um, you know, but people make it happen. You just have to modify the way that you do it. Um,
Right.
and it's not a one person job. It's a two or three person job and uh, the Collins Low Country, they do a lot for veterans and disabled as well. Um, and I've got a friend that guides down there that owns his own uh, outdoor business, and um, he actually shoots professionally for uh, Mission or Matthews, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just connections like that that get you into doing new things and in a different aspect than you're used to.
One of the things that I've noticed, especially working with the kids, is a lot of these handy-capable people, they just want to be treated normal.
Mhm.
Like normal. We bust their balls, we joke, we laugh, we pick on them. It's just like, again, they just want to be normal. They're not looking for sympathy. They're just looking for a fair chance at life. I want to give some shout outs. There's a guy named Dusty Stanfield, and he's a preacher now, but he's from Tennessee, one of the first handicaps. Little Tucker Hauser, Tuck. I started hunting with Tucker when he was a little boy. He's a full-blown adult serial killer at this point in his track chair. He is like the kid's on fire. Makes me jealous. He gets bigger bucks than I do now, right? So there's Aubrey. What's Aubrey's last name? Hauser, and her sister. She was our first blind girl. 100%. Again, she got 10% vision in one eye, which means she can
Wow.
see about 18 inches fuzzy through a tunnel. I took her deer hunting. She shot a 30-point whitetail, just like the song, right? So again, all these people are such Jimbo Yoakum. That was my first blind hunter that I took. He's
That's
from
great.
Louisiana, right? And the same, well, and I meet this kid. The first time I ever meet him, I know he's blind, but his uncle who came with him said, well, we got him hitting the target from 100 yards with optics. I'm like, we're golden. That's good enough. Let's do it. So we show up and I go to meet this kid and he's like, how you doing? And he's like, he's not even, I'm like, oh my God, what did I get into? And he's wearing a shirt that says Menden Boxing. He was on the boxing team, a blind kid on the local boxing team. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to be in a fight, I want to fight the blind kid, right? Like, holy, what is this kid? But what a trooper. And this is where I'm saying, like, Jimmy, can you tell me some of your things, And well, I was born with rickets and I had a firecracker blow up in my hand and it lost a finger and blew out the maculae in my eye. And he goes into a 10-minute rant. His uncle interrupts him in between. Well, when he was 6, he was run over with the tractor and we thought we were going to, like on and on and on. And then he ends with, but man, have I been blessed. That's where I said if we had the attitude that you guys had, us as regular, normal, I'm going to say normal people, the world would be a better place.
And you ever think about the fact that, Mac, like, and all the people you're talking about, Kevin, that, God didn't cause these things, the devil did, but it's a way you have a very unique and difficult chore, but God is giving you an opportunity to show who you are at the deepest part of your character. What a blessing that is when someday we're going to all die. We're going to have a new heavenly body like Jesus has demonstrated, and everything's going to work great. So we all have that to look forward to. But right now you're going to the test. When you go to stand before him for judgment, he's going to go, oh, well done, well done, well done. It's an awesome, if you look at it that way, it's a whole nother vantage point.
Absolutely. And Kevin kind of summed that up, the answer to that in the beginning of everything happens for a reason. I think you're definitely put in places and positions for a reason. And it's just up to you to how you interpret that reason and carry out the tasks after that really define if you understand that reason.
Wow. No, so inspirational. I'm glad that Marcus, you introduced me to Mac, and Mac, we're going to try to get you some help because you help everybody else. So hopefully that's why God sent me. I'm hoping that's why he sent me into your life. So
Everything happens for a reason, Kevin.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. And even just the fact that to sharing this story, you inspire me. I sure hope it inspires other people, right? And that's a leader. To lead,
That's the main goal.
it is. Well, and I wish you the best. I thank both of you guys for your time. We've been about an hour, but this is a heck of a show, and I'm so glad we met. And Mac, I got a feeling we're going to be friends for a little while. We'll probably talk again.
I think I'm definitely good with that.
I'd like to get your testimony as far as, if these products, the new healing products that we have
Absolutely
actually work, or if they don't work, or like I said, we're just going to report what happens. Cause I still have use of my limbs. I don't have, leukemia. I never had a stroke or a heart attack. So that's why we're getting these products to you guys. Cause I want to change. I didn't come to play games. I came to change the game, and these products and people like Marcus that's what we're doing. Again, doing.
Absolutely.
So, all
Absolutely.
right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Everybody who watched, thank you for watching. Please click the Rumble button. That helps us with the algorithms. Share, talk about this stuff. Be a good person. Do the right thing. That's pretty easy. Go hug your mother. I love you. See you, everybody.